Hello everyone, today is 12th of September, now it's 15 to 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Not sure about second update because it's my birthday today and I don't know how they will go time-wise, but let's see. Anyways, I have prepared quite a number of important news for this update, and I will start with this report from RIA Novosti that head of State Department of US had a conversation with Biden about topic of lifting restrictions on Kiev regime to strike deep inside Russian territory with US long-range weapon systems. As you know, yesterday Blinken and his British counterpart were visiting Kiev, and many experts, many channels on internet in segment of news and political commentary were expecting that, and media outlets, by the way, were expecting that statements probably will be made that all the restrictions on use of Western weapon systems to strike deep inside Russia will be lifted. But we did not hear open statements about that, although many are arguing here in Russia that most likely such a decision already been made, although it would not be publicly discussed. If that's the case, in upcoming days or maybe weeks, probably we will see, unfortunately, first waves of long-range strikes deep inside the Russian territory with Western cruise missiles, for example, with the British Storm Shadow cruise missiles, French Scalp EG cruise missiles, with the US cruise missiles that are somewhat similar to Storm Shadow, JS AAM or something, that are also nuclear capable, by the way, and ATACMS, also US-made ATACMS missiles. Let's see. Hopefully Russian air defense systems are ready to deal with all the possible threats. RT is also reporting that UK already approved formerly Ukrainian, in reality NATO missile strikes deep inside Russia, according to Guardian, British propaganda outlet. So Washington and London may have already decided to let Kiev use long-range missiles for strikes deep inside Russia and are now seeding their narrative through their media. Russian Senator Alexei Pushkov has stated. Meanwhile, Britain has already given a green light for the use of Storm Shadow missiles. The Guardian reported on Wednesday, citing anonymous government sources. London, however, is not expected to announce the move publicly, the sources claimed. So if London is not going to announce publicly this decision that all the restrictions have been lifted, most likely it's a policy of their NATO, and Washington will not make such announcement either. RIA Novosti is reporting about statements of Russian ambassador to US, Anatoly Antonov, who commented on this topic of long-range strikes deep inside the Russian territory with Western long-range missile systems. And he said that by discussing the topic of long-range strikes deep inside Russia, Washington basically is paving way for a third world war. Which is true, by the way. Which is true. It seems like a Western ruling class, due to their inability to stop and to listen to some warnings, they are clearly pushing this war towards nuclear disaster. So Ukraine is being targeted to increase attacks on ordinary citizens by means of talks about the possibility of using American missiles to strike deep inside Russia. The US is thus paving a way for World War III, said Ambassador to Washington Anatoly Antonov. Kiev is being targeted to increase attacks on ordinary Kiev being not targeted, but this is a mechanical translation, by the way. Kiev being ordered basically to increase attacks on ordinary Russians, our cities and villages. No one is hiding anymore, even at the highest level in the White House, that intelligence has been and is flowing like a river from the United States to Kiev, the diplomat said in a statement. And of course, he's talking about targeting data, by the way. I also said many times before that targeting data is provided for long-range means of delivery of the Kiev regime, formerly Kiev regime, by Western secret services or Western militaries. And we all know that these long-range strikes with the drones, for example, deep inside Russia, are conducted with active participation of the NATO countries and NATO intelligence. Also strikes, all strikes, by the way, literally all strikes with Storm Shadow, Scalp EG missiles, ATACMS missiles, HIMARS missiles, all of it is conducted with active participation of their NATO member states. And now with these talks about even longer range strikes deep inside Russia, definitely can be seen as a preparation of the ground for Third World War. And many people in this world sees this process exactly this way. So Russian ambassador clearly has a point there. And when it comes to this new level of escalation, we have statements from former Kremlin advisor who is saying that enemies must be sure that Russia is ready to use nuclear weapons. So Russia's nuclear doctrine urgently needs to be revised to allow nuclear response to any major military aggression against the country, former Kremlin advisor Sergei Karaganov stated on Wednesday. The former foreign policy advisor to the deputy head of Russian presidential administration told the Kommersant Daily that existing document is woefully outdated and no longer serves as an effective deterrent. Adopted in 2020, Russia's nuclear doctrine does not provide for preemptive nuclear strikes and the use of nuclear weapons can be only in exceptional cases, can be done only in exceptional cases in the face of a threat to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. According to Karaganov, this approach has rendered it nearly useless and has effectively excluded the nuclear deterrence factor from Russia's military and foreign policy arsenal. We have allowed the situation to deteriorate to a point when our adversaries believe we will not use nuclear weapons under any circumstances, the political scientist said. Having nuclear weapons without being able to convince your enemies that you are ready to use them is suicide. So this is the position of a prominent public figure here in Russia and former advisor to the Kremlin. And I guess very many citizens of Russian Federation are on the same page with Karaganov. Some or significant number of Russian citizens probably are thinking that deployment of the nuclear weapons is long overdue, and this should be done way earlier to prevent involvement of the Western ruling class and NATO into this conflict in a way that they are involved right now. But yet again, Kremlin has different approach. Russian president is clearly against deployment of extreme force on the battlefield. Otherwise, even this outdated, according to Karaganov, nuclear doctrine of the Russia gives him authority to do so, because is Russia invaded? I mean, Kursk region is Russia, isn't it? Nothing to be said about Crimea, that is constantly targeted by Kiev regime, that is also part of Russia. Nothing to be said about new regions of the Russian Federation. But Kursk region is part of Russia, recognized by international community, right? Kiev regime was targeting nuclear power stations on Russian territory, including Kursk nuclear power plant. So strategical infrastructure was targeted. Russian territorial integrity have been breached by Kyiv regime and NATO. And what else do you need to deploy nuclear weapons, really? So it is only policy of the Russian president at this point that stops Russian forces to deploy nuclear weapons. It is what it is. Although Taraganov may have a point that this nuclear doctrine has to be updated and maybe preemptive nuclear strikes should be part of it if threats are inevitable. But discussion, by the way, has been activated once again around topic of deployment of nuclear weapons, which is quite understandable. After all, Western ruling class is openly talking about strikes deep inside the Russian territory with NATO weapons, including with weapons that are nuclear capable, right? RIA Novosti is reporting that this morning there was explosions in Kyiv and Khmelnytsky region, not far away from one of the local airfields. No precise information about what exactly was targeted, but probably this is a result of yet another Russian strike on military and logistics infrastructure of the Kyiv regime. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting that another US-made M1A1 Abrams tank was destroyed on the battlefield, this time on the vicinity of Memrik settlement, during the liberation of the Memrik settlement. And this tank, by the way, was disabled, and I saw a video when, and I believe I shared that video on my Telegram channel. Russian troops approached this tank, which was an engine of which still was running. So who knows, maybe Russian mechanics will do some work on this tank and evacuate, withdraw, so that eventually it will end up somewhere on display in one of the museums. TASS news agency is also reporting that according to head of Akhmat Special Forces, Major General Abtial Audinov, Kyiv regime forces lost about 7,000 military personnel in Suja district in this Kursk salient that is temporarily occupied by Kyiv regime. Overall casualty numbers on part of Kyiv regime is more than 12,000 at this point in this salient area only. Also, Kyiv regime lost 96 tanks since the beginning of invasion of the Kursk region, 42 infantry fighting vehicles, 77 armored personnel carriers, 656 other armored vehicles, 401 motorcars, 90 artillery systems, 26 MLRS systems, including 7 HIMARS multi-launch rocket systems, and many more military equipment. By the way, over 1,000 different type of military equipment of the Kyiv regime was destroyed in the Kursk salient, and more than 12,000 military personnel. And as we all know, dear friends, as a result of Russian counteroffensive operations, as a result of Russian counter-terrorist operation, basically, western flank of this invading force in the Kursk salient is collapsed basically, and Russian troops liberated more than 10 settlements at this point, and progress continues. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian aerospace forces received new batch of Su-57 5th gen fighter jet, and also Su-35S fighter jets, which is good news, obviously. And when it comes to Su-57 5th gen fighter jet, we have reports that additional facilities are in construction work right now, additional facilities being built to further increase production of their Su-57s, which is interesting and very important development, obviously, for Russian aerospace forces. It seems like Su-57s proved themselves during the special military operation as a very capable 5th gen fighter jets, multi-role fighter jets, and probably that's why decision was made to further increase production of these planes. And rumors are, by the way, that Su-57s had the longest kill in history during the special military operation, over 200 kilometers. So enemy fighter was shot down over 200 kilometers, which is quite impressive. Some on some sources I hear the information that enemy fighter was shot down over 300 kilometers by Su-57. Of course, any information about operations of Su-57 is classified, so therefore these rumors were circulate until Russian Defense Ministry will officially release information on operations that Su-57 was involved during the special military operation, and then we will probably find out details of this most likely longest kill in aviation history. So very capable, and by the way, let me say, probably most beautiful plane ever built, period. That Su-57 is. RIA Novosti is reporting that Taipei, by the way, capital of Taiwan, a region of the China, denies claims that they have invited militaries of the Kiev regime for exchange of experience. Although Taiwanese media, by the way, earlier reported that such invitation was issued by Taiwanese regime, and Kiev regime's militaries were invited on island to share their experience, which is quite disturbing news, by the way, if you think about, because many experts are basically openly arguing that Western ruling class plans to use Taiwan to sacrifice basically residents of this island, and to use this island as a proxy against China, like Ukraine was sacrificed, and citizens of Ukraine to use them as a proxy against Russia. And this information that Taiwanese so-called leadership is cooperating with the Kiev regime, including in the military terms, definitely brings more weight to this argument, these predictions that Taiwan is about to become to get sacrificed basically by Western ruling class. I'm afraid this is even inevitable. RT is reporting that Iran denies Western ballistic missile claims. Iran did not supply Russia with ballistic missiles, despite what the sanctions addicts in the West claim. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has stated on Tuesday, US and its allies sanctioned Iran's national airliner over alleged missile shipments to Moscow. Well, rumors are, as we all know, that Iran transferred several hundred of ballistic missiles to Russian Federation. I don't really believe in that, by the way, that hundreds of missiles being transferred to Russia. I don't buy it, and I need factual information to believe in that information. But I would not be surprised at all if sometime in the future, as I said in previous updates, we will find out that there was a cooperation, and there is cooperation between militaries of the Russian Federation and Iran, and there may be a number of Iranian missiles and there are also other weapon systems have been transferred to Russia to check them during the military operations in a real warfare situation, which might happen, by the way. Obviously, Iran probably has interest to find out how their missiles, for example, FAT 360 missiles, will operate in conditions of warfare, how they will manage to deal with their Western air defense systems, Western radio electronic warfare systems. And Russia may provide such an opportunity to Iran to test those missiles or other weapon systems, by the way. And FAT 360 is a relatively new missile that was engineered by Iranian military industrial complex. It was adopted by Iranian army in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So relatively new weapon system that and therefore it is understandable if Iran wanted to test, for example, these missiles in real battle. But yet again, I find it difficult to believe that hundreds of those missiles were delivered to Russia. Although if yes, then okay, great. As I said in previous updates, no one cares about Western sanctions no more, including Iran, by the way, and Russia. And I can only applaud any increase in the level of cooperation between the two countries in political, economical, and military. In military fields. Why not? RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, unfortunately, some 20 FBI agents raided the home of the RT's correspondent in Miami, US. They harassed correspondent of the RT. They insulted correspondent of RT. This is a female. They insulted her. Unfortunately, I was unable to find out name of this correspondent. In this report of RT, there is no name, but it is very unfortunate. It is very unfortunate that this witch hunt in US is taking this whole new level, by the way, whole new level, and Russophobia and xenophobia in general is becoming a norm in the US. It's really unfortunate, but yet again, what you expect from a failing empire that is a threat to its own citizens and a threat for the rest of the humanity. RT is reporting also that Germany tells EU it can't take any more migrants. Berlin has no choice but to bolster border control as a state and federal resources have been almost exhausted on refugees and asylum seekers. German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser has reportedly told Brussels. Earlier this week, Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government announced that Germany would begin checking passports along the land border again for at least 6 months without regard to the Schengen agreement. No country in the world can accept an unlimited number of refugees, Faeser said in a letter to the European Commission, which Der Spiegel obtained on Wednesday. Well, it's election time, isn't it, in Germany? Elections are coming. And during the recent regional elections in Saxony, I believe, and one of the other regions, Alternative for Germany party, that's the name, if I remember correctly, received significant number of votes, right? They are gaining popularity. These alternative parties, new parties, are gaining popularity big time due to all the failures of their permanent political parties in US, in Germany. And I said US because all those parties, by the way, the so-called permanent or mainstream parties in Germany are basically assets of the CIA, right? So I mentioned US for a reason, I guess. So yes, people in Germany are realizing that they are run by US assets, really. They want to have a say in their own fate, in their own future and destiny, right? And that's why, by the way, I guess government of Scholz now is making such a statements. This is all political games, by the way. Scholz and his ministers have no care about Germany's national interests or citizens of Germany, for sure. They prove it many times, by the way. So it is what it is. But elections are coming, and therefore, because they know this issue of this migration is one of the top topics of discussion in the public. They are trying to gain some political points by articulating this, by making some statements on that regard. And that's all. This is just a game, by the way. If German citizens buying into that, then I mean, what can I say? Sorry, man, but you're being played. RIA Novosti is reporting that Vice Prime Minister of Serbia will visit the BRICS summit in Kazan this autumn. Okay, interesting. Although I believe Russian president invited the president of Serbia, isn't it? Right? Vucic was invited, and seems like he is not going to BRICS. And this is too bad, by the way. This is too bad. What can I say? Serbian leadership is trying to play both sides. This type of policies never really work well eventually, and well, they have to make up their mind if they want to be a client state. If a current political class in Serbia wants their country to be client state for Brussels, Washington and London, that's one way to go. But if they want Serbia to stand strong and be respected member of the emerging multipolar world, then this is not okay, by the way. It's not a vice prime minister of Serbia that has to go to Kazan, but president of Serbia, Vucic, has to go. He still has time to make up his mind, and the Serbian political class still has time to think about stance of Serbia in this world. RT is reporting that thousands of EU automotive jobs are at risk, according to article in Bloomberg. So European automakers are facing more plant closures as they struggle to keep up with their electric vehicles transition aimed at slowing demand and growing competition. Bloomberg reported on Wednesday. According to outlets' analysis of data from their Just Auto, nearly a third of major passenger car plants from their 5 largest manufacturers, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Stellantis, I don't even know what Stellantis is, Renault, and Volkswagen were underutilized last year. Their auto giants were producing fewer than half the vehicles they have the capacity to make. Their figures showed annual sales in Europe are reportedly around 3 million cars, below pre-pandemic levels, leaving factories unfilled and putting thousands of jobs at risk. The report pointed out that sites shutting down would add to concerns that the region is facing protracted downturn after failing behind the key competitors, the US and China. And what you expect, by the way, what you expect? The industrialization of Germany is unstoppable at this point, and also of other countries of the Europe. And why is that? Because of these crazy anti-Russian policies. Basically, one should always keep in mind that major reason why German industry was so competitive is relatively cheap energy that they were receiving for decades and decades and decades from Soviet Union and then Russia, right? And this occupied regime, US occupying regime in Germany under leadership of Merkel and then Scholz, what they did, they destroy relationships with Russia, and they destroy cooperation between Russian businesses and German businesses, including in energo sphere, and that's a result, by the way, process of deindustrialization that cannot be stopped, and give it 20-30 years, by the way, from now. And as I said many times before, it seems like unfortunately for EU member states, this continental part of Europe will become and UK also, by the way, it's part of Europe, isn't it? Not continental Europe, but still geographic, it's still Europe. So this territory, by the way, will become some loosely relevant part of Eurasia, right? And I'm afraid EU member states are destined to that, because only way they could maintain relevance on the world stage in the future was to be with Russia, to cooperate with Russia, and build this huge economical space from Portugal, from Lisbon, by the way, let's say, to Vladivostok. And there was talks about it, isn't it? Some 10-15 years ago, if not more, but no anymore. No anymore, by the way. European political class ruined all the opportunities to have a good strategical partnership with Russia, and therefore Europe is destined to failure. It is what it is, man. Just give it another 20-30 years, and that's what it's going to be. Although, of course, theoretically, it is possible that there are people in the European states, majority will wake up, and they will make some changes in their leadership, and in that case, if adequate people will be in power in European states, then things might change, of course. But is it possible that majority of the public in the West will wake up? I don't think so. I don't think so. RIA Novosti is reporting that biggest banks in Russia are increasing. You know what? Let me translate, by the way, this information, because it is important. Leading Russian banks are rising deposit rates ahead of a central bank's board meeting on the key rate. RIA Novosti correspondent found out after studying data on the websites of the credit institutions. The Bank of Russia's board of directors will meet on September 13. Earlier, the central bank admitted that the key rate could rise from the current 18%. So if leading Russian banks, commercial banks, are increasing deposit rates, that clearly can be seen as an indicator that most likely tomorrow Russian central bank will further increase interest rates up to possibly 20% from current 18%, which is unfortunate, but seems like due to overheating of the economy, central bank sees no other option right now but to increase interest rate once again. And I guess that's exactly what is going to happen. Otherwise, there is no way commercial banks would increase these deposit rates, right? So I guess, yes, tomorrow we will hear that interest rates are increasing once again. And I guess this is it, by the way. I don't think there will be further increases in interest rates. In 2025, it will stay around 20%. Although, okay, maybe central bank will increase interest rate once again up to 22, for example. But from 2026, I guess we will see opposite process, and because situation in economy will improve greatly, probably central bank will start decreasing interest rates. And once again, dear friends, I remind you that Russian economy is dealing with overheating. Russian economy is working in maximum of its capacities, but still demand is very high, and the economy is unable to deal with this high demand, and that's one of the reasons why central bank is increasing interest rates, so that loans will become more expensive, and it will influence overall demand on credits and overall demand, demand on the goods, so that economy will cool down a little bit. So it's exactly opposite is happening of what Western ruling class was hoping for. They were hoping that Russian economy will collapse, crash, but not. Russian economy is doing not just well, but overwhelmingly well. So much so that it is overheating. But I guess due to huge volumes of investments into economy, I guess additional capacities will be created in next year, 2 years time. Additional services will be created, and hopefully for 2027 balance will be reached between demand and supply. I hope so, and that's why I think from 2026, 2027 we will see opposite process when central bank will start decreasing interest rates significantly. RT is reporting, and I will end this update on this news, by the way, that Russian church warns of apocalypse. What a headline, isn't it? So Patriarch Kirill, the head of Russia's Russian Orthodox Church, has warned of the challenges that the rapid development of artificial intelligence poses for mankind. The church leader made remarks at the Culture of the 21st Century Sovereignty or Globalism Forum in St. Petersburg on Wednesday. If humanity loses religious faith, particularly the context of the growth of the technologies associated with them, if humanity loses religious faith, particularly in the context of the growth of technologies associated with the emergence of artificial intelligence, then we are truly entering the era of the apocalypse. The Patriarch stated, the development of humanity is only possible with the growth of faith and the moral sense in the people. Kirill stated, warning that otherwise there could be terrible consequences given the rise of technologies. We are approaching an apocalypse time. This is what we all need to clearly understand, he reiterated. And the only way out of this possible crisis is faith in God. I say it loudly to the whole world. If we renounce faith in God, nothing will work. The Patriarch warned that AI could pose a real danger to the existence of humanity if it reaches the level of self-improvement. He acknowledged that, of course, there are dystopian horror stories when artificial intelligence takes power over all of humanity, stressing, however, that everything that concerns artificial intelligence is not yet fully understood and realized. So it is interesting that Russian Orthodox Church is getting into this debate about artificial intelligence because yes, I mean, we don't really know how to deal with it, isn't it? And once artificial intelligence will gain self-consciousness, who knows what is going to happen? Who knows, man? It might it might play a role of a trampoline for humanity to reach all new level of civilizational development, or it may destroy humanity. Me personally, I don't know. I don't know what is going to happen, but well, it is interesting that even church is getting involved in this discussion, because it is existential topic, isn't it? It is. And this is it for now. Relatively long update, dear friends, but hopefully you will find it informative and interesting. And if so, please click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything. And if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet, on any of the platforms that you're actively using. And finally, if you think my work is, if you like my work, if you think I deserve to be in this field of news and political commentary, if you think my channels deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with donation or by subscribing to my Patreon or Boosty channels. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And I will just add that monthly subscription on Patreon starts from $5. So I hope you will consider long-term support through Patreon subscription. Anyways, have a great day, and take care. Bye for now.